Have you ever been told by someone you love that you don't matter? That if you disappeared tomorrow, nobody would even notice? That your existence means nothing? I have. And the person who said it to me wasn't a stranger. It wasn't some bully from school or a toxic friend I could just walk away from. It was my brother. My own flesh and blood. The person I grew up with. The person I shared my childhood with. The person I thought would always have my back. But I was wrong. So painfully, heartbreakingly wrong. Let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Maya, and I'm 26 years old. I live in a small town where everyone knows everyone, and family reputation means everything. My family wasn't rich, but we were comfortable. My father owned a local hardware store, and my mother was a school teacher. We had enough. I was the younger child. My brother, Ethan, was 3 years older than me. Growing up, he was the golden child, the firstborn son, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. He was smart, charming, athletic. He got all the attention, all the praise, all the opportunities. And me, I was just there. Don't get me wrong, my parents loved me, but there was always this unspoken hierarchy in our house. Ethan first, then me. His achievements celebrated, mine acknowledged with a pat on the head. His failures excused, mine questioned. I learned early on not to compete. I learned to be invisible, to not need too much, to not ask for too much, to just exist quietly. When I was 16, our father died. Heart attack. Sudden, devastating. The store, the house, everything went to our mother. But the expectation was clear. Ethan would take over the business one day. He was being groomed for it. I was expected to get married, maybe help out at the store if needed, but nothing more. I tried to be okay with that. I really did. I went to community college, got a degree in accounting. Nothing fancy, but it was something. I started working at a small firm in town, doing bookkeeping, tax returns, basic stuff. I lived at home to save money, helped my mother with bills, cooked, cleaned, took care of the house. Ethan, he went to a university 2 hours away. My mother paid for everything. Tuition, apartment, car, spending money. She even sent him extra cash whenever he asked. She took out loans. She worked overtime. She sold jewelry my father had given her. All for Ethan. When he graduated, he came back home with big plans. He was going to expand the hardware store, turn it into a chain, make us wealthy. My mother believed every word. She gave him control of everything. The store, the finances, the accounts. I offered to help. I had an accounting degree after all. I could manage the books, help with finances, make sure everything was organized. Ethan laughed in my face. You, help me. Maya, you can barely handle your own life. This is a real business. I need professionals, not amateurs. That stung, but I swallowed it, stayed quiet, kept helping around the house, kept working my little job, kept being invisible. Over the next 3 years, Ethan made changes, big changes. He renovated the store, expanded inventory, hired new staff. He drove a new car, wore expensive clothes, took vacations. He seemed to be doing well. But I noticed things, little things. Bills piling up at home. My mother stressed about money. The house needing repairs that never got done. Her asking me for help with groceries more often. I asked Ethan about it once, just casually over dinner. Hey, is everything okay with the store? Mom seems worried about money. He brushed me off. Everything's fine, Maya. Mom worries about everything. Don't stress about things you don't understand. I let it go. What else could I do? Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were my long days at work. I got home around 8 in the evening, tired, hungry, ready to just eat and sleep. My mother was sitting at the kitchen table, crying, not just tears, full-on sobbing, her whole body shaking. I rushed to her. Mom, what's wrong? What happened? She couldn't speak, just handed me a stack of papers. Foreclosure notice. The house was being taken. We had 60 days to leave. I felt the floor drop out from under me. What? How? Why? Through her tears, my mother explained. Ethan had taken out loans against the house. multiple loans. He told her it was for the business expansion, that it would pay off soon, that she just needed to sign some papers. She trusted him. She signed everything. The business never made enough money. The loans went unpaid. Now the bank was taking the house my father built, the house we grew up in, the house that held every memory of our family. Gone. I was shaking with anger. Where's Ethan? At the store, he said. He said he's working on a solution. I drove to the store, stormed in, found Ethan in the back office, feet up on the desk, scrolling through his phone. Ethan, what the hell did you do? He barely looked up. Maya, not now, I'm busy. Busy? Mom is at home crying because we're losing the house Dad left us. What did you do with the money? He sighed like I was bothering him. It's complicated, Maya, business stuff. You wouldn't understand. Try me. I have an accounting degree, remember. I can understand numbers. He finally put his phone down and looked at me with this cold, annoyed expression. Fine, you want the truth? The business didn't work out the way I planned. I made some investments that didn't pan out. I took some risks. It happens. I'll figure it out. Figure it out. We have 60 days. Where are we supposed to go? Mom can stay with Aunt Linda. You have your own job, right? Get an apartment. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That's your solution, just split up, abandon the house? What about paying back the loans? What about fixing this? He stood up, towering over me. What do you want me to do, Maya? I don't have the money. It's gone. Done. Over. Move on. You destroyed everything Dad built. Everything Mom sacrificed for. Oh, please. He rolled his eyes. Dad's store was failing anyway. I tried to save it. It didn't work. Stop being so dramatic. Dramatic. Ethan, we're losing our home. And then he said it, the words that shattered me. Maybe if you had actually contributed something to this family instead of just existing, we wouldn't be in this situation. But no, you're just here, taking up space, not helping, not doing anything important. Honestly, Maya, if you left this world, no one would even care. Nobody would notice. You're that forgettable. The room went silent. I stood there, frozen, his words echoing in my head. If you left this world, no one would care. You're that forgettable. He grabbed his jacket and walked past me. I have plans tonight. Lock up when you leave. And he was gone. I stood in that empty office, surrounded by the wreckage of my family's dreams. And I realized something. He was right about one thing. I had been invisible. I had been forgettable. I had let myself fade into the background, thinking that's what love looked like. Sacrifice, silence, invisibility. But not anymore. If leaving was what it took to show them what they lost, then that's exactly what I would do. I walked out of that store, got in my car, and drove home. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't fall apart. I planned. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't fire and fury. It's silence. It's absence. It's showing someone exactly what they took for granted. And I was about to show them all. That night, I sat in my room and made a list. Not a list of things to pack, not a list of places to go. A list of everything I did for this family that nobody noticed. It was longer than I expected. I paid half the utility bills every month. My mother didn't ask, I just did it. She thought Ethan was covering everything. I bought groceries every week. I cooked dinner 6 nights a week. I cleaned the house, did the laundry, fixed things when they broke, scheduled appointments, remembered birthdays, organized family gatherings. I was the one who called Aunt Linda every Sunday, so my mother wouldn't feel guilty about not staying in touch. I was the one who paid for my mother's medications when money was tight. I was the one who covered the property tax last year when Ethan said he forgot. I was the one who stayed. And nobody noticed. Nobody appreciated it. Nobody cared. Because I was forgettable. I looked at that list and felt something shift inside me. Not sadness, not anger anymore. Clarity. I opened my laptop and started planning my exit. First, I checked my finances. I'd been saving for years, nothing huge but enough. I had about $15,000 in my account. I never spent much, never went anywhere, never bought anything for myself. That money was my ticket out. Second, I researched cities, somewhere far enough that I couldn't just come back on a weekend, somewhere with job opportunities, somewhere I could start completely fresh. I settled on a city 6 hours away, big enough to disappear in, small enough to still feel manageable. Third, I looked at apartments, found a tiny studio available immediately. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I filled out the application right there at 2 in the morning. By dawn, I had a plan. I would leave in 1 week. That gave me time to wrap up at work, pack my essentials, and prepare. But I wouldn't tell anyone. Not my mother, not Ethan, not my friends from high school who I barely saw anymore anyway. I would just vanish. Let them figure it out. Over the next 7 days, I moved like a ghost through my own life. I went to work, gave my 2 weeks' notice. My boss was surprised but understanding. Family situation, I told him. He didn't pry. I packed my things slowly, 1 box at a time. Clothes, books, a few personal items. I didn't have much. Most of the furniture in my room was old, hand-me-down stuff anyway. I left it all. I transferred money into a new bank account at a different bank, closed out my old utilities accounts, set up mail forwarding to a PO box. I watched my mother move through the house, stressed, tired, aging faster than she should. Part of me wanted to tell her. Part of me wanted to hug her and explain why I needed to leave. But I didn't. Because she had chosen. Every time Ethan needed something, she chose him. Every time there was only enough for one of us, she chose him. Every time I was hurting and he was thriving, she chose him. Love isn't just a feeling. It's actions, it's choices, it's showing up. And she hadn't shown up for me in a very long time. Ethan, of course, didn't notice anything. He was too busy dealing with the mess he'd created. He'd started avoiding the house, staying at his girlfriend's place most nights. When he was home, he locked himself in his room or left quickly. Fine by me. On my last night, I cooked dinner like always. Pasta, garlic bread, salad, my mother's favorite. She smiled at me across the table. "Thank you, sweetheart. You're always so thoughtful." I smiled back, said nothing. After dinner, I cleaned up like always, washed dishes, wiped counters, took out trash. Then I went to my room. I sat on my bed, looked around at the space I'd lived in for 26 years and felt nothing, no sadness, no nostalgia, just emptiness. This room had never really been mine anyway. It was just a place I existed in. I pulled out a piece of paper and wrote 2 letters. The first was to my mother. "Mom, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not missing, not in danger, just gone. I need you to know that I love you. I always will. But I can't stay in a place where I don't matter. Ethan told me that if I left this world, no one would care. And as much as it hurt to hear, I realized he was right. Not because I'm worthless, but because I made myself invisible. I did everything for this family and nobody noticed. So now I'm going to stop. And maybe then you'll see what you lost. I hope you find peace. I hope you find strength. I hope you realize that you deserved better than what Ethan gave you. And I hope someday you'll understand why I had to leave. I love you. Maya." The second letter was to Ethan, shorter, sharper. "Ethan, you said if I left, no one would care. Let's test that theory. Good luck with everything. Maya." I left both letters on the kitchen table, propped up against the salt shaker where they'd be seen in the morning. Then I loaded my car. 4 boxes, 2 suitcases, 1 backpack. That was it. That was my entire life. I sat in the driver's seat, looked back at the house one last time, and felt the weight lift. I wasn't running away. I was walking towards something better. Something mine. I started the engine and drove into the night, leaving behind the only life I'd ever known. No dramatic goodbyes, no big confrontation, no closure. Just silence. And in 24 hours, they would understand exactly what they lost. I didn't sleep that first night. I drove straight through, 6 hours of highway and darkness and freedom. By the time the sun came up, I was in my new city, pulling up to my new apartment building. It was small, older, nothing fancy, but it was mine, my name on the lease, my space, my choice. I hauled my boxes upstairs, unlocked the door to my studio, and stood in the middle of the empty room. And I breathed. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. I set up the basics: air mattress, sheets, laptop, some clothes. I'd buy furniture later. For now, this was enough. Around noon, I grabbed my phone. I turned it off during the drive. Now I powered it on. 37 missed calls, 62 text messages. All from my mother and Ethan. I didn't read them, not yet. I just wanted to see the numbers, to see proof that my absence was noticed. It was. I made myself lunch, just a sandwich from a corner store, and sat by the window. Watching my new neighborhood, people walking dogs, kids riding bikes, life happening without me having to manage it or fix it or carry it. It felt strange, peaceful but strange. By evening, I finally opened the messages. My mother's were frantic. "Maya, where are you? Please call me. Sweetheart, I found your letter. Please talk to me. Maya, I'm so sorry. Please come home. I don't understand. What happened? Please, just let me know you're safe." They broke my heart a little, but not enough to make me go back. Ethan's messages were different. The first few were dismissive. "Stop being dramatic. Mom's freaking out. Just come home. This is ridiculous." Then they shifted. "Where are you? Maya, this isn't funny. Call Mom, she's worried." And finally, "Fine, whatever, run away if you want." I almost laughed at that last one. Even now, he couldn't admit he was wrong. Couldn't admit he needed me. Couldn't apologize. Typical Ethan. I texted my mother one message. "I'm safe. I'm okay. I just need space. Please don't try to find me." Then I blocked both their numbers. I needed silence. I needed distance. I needed to not be pulled back into their chaos. Over the next few days, I started building my new life. I found a job quickly. A small accounting firm was hiring, and my experience was exactly what they needed. The pay was better than my old job, and the hours were reasonable. I bought furniture from thrift stores: a bed frame, a desk, a chair, a small couch, mismatched but functional. I explored my new neighborhood, found a coffee shop I liked, a library, a park where I could sit and read. I started running in the mornings, something I'd never done before. It cleared my head, gave me energy, made me feel strong. I was building a life, my life. Meanwhile, back home, things were falling apart. I didn't know this at the time. I'd blocked everyone, cut off all contact. But weeks later, I found out exactly what happened in those first 24 hours after I left. And it was glorious. According to my Aunt Linda, who somehow tracked down my email address and sent me a long message, chaos erupted immediately. My mother woke up that morning, found my letter, and panicked. She called Ethan, sobbing, demanding he come home immediately. Ethan, hungover from a night out, showed up around noon. He read my letter, scoffed, and told my mother I was being overdramatic. "She'll be back in a few days," he said. "She's just throwing a tantrum." My mother wasn't convinced. She called everyone. Aunt Linda, family, friends, my old coworkers. Nobody knew where I was. Then the real problems started. That afternoon, the electricity got shut off. Turns out I'd been paying the electric bill for the past 8 months. Ethan thought my mother was paying it. My mother thought Ethan was paying it. Neither of them realized it was me. Strike one. That evening, my mother went to make dinner and realized there was no food in the house. I'd always done the grocery shopping, every week, like clockwork. Not anymore. Strike two. The next morning, my mother tried to do laundry and realized the washing machine was broken. It had been making weird noises for weeks, but I'd been hand-washing clothes in the meantime and planning to save up to fix it. Without me, nobody noticed until they actually needed it. Strike 3. Over the next week, things got worse. The internet got cut off. I'd been paying half of it. The lawn turned into a jungle. I'd been mowing it every 2 weeks. Bills that I'd been quietly handling started arriving with angry red overdue stamps. Doctor appointments my mother forgot about because I always reminded her. Aunt Linda's birthday nobody remembered because I always called. The house started falling into disarray because I was the one who cleaned, organized, maintained. Little things, invisible things, things nobody noticed I was doing until I wasn't doing them anymore. My mother started to understand. Ethan, on the other hand, doubled down on anger. According to Aunt Linda, he blamed me for everything, called me selfish, said I abandoned the family when they needed me most. The irony was almost too perfect. He started trying to track me down, called my old work, asked my few friends, even tried to file a missing persons report, but the police told him I was an adult and had clearly left voluntarily. My mother, meanwhile, kept my letter on the kitchen table, read it over and over, started crying randomly throughout the day. Aunt Linda told me my mother said something that stuck with me. I never realized how much Maya did until she stopped doing it. That sentence, that admission, that realization. It was everything I needed to hear. Not because it made me feel superior, not because I wanted them to suffer, but because it meant I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining it. I had been carrying this family, and they were finally seeing it. 3 weeks into my new life, Aunt Linda sent me another email. Maya, I know you need your space, and I respect that, but I need you to know what's happening. Your mother is falling apart, not just sad, actually falling apart. She's not eating right, not sleeping. She sits in your room sometimes and just cries. Ethan is spiraling. The store is failing completely now. He's behind on payments, suppliers are pulling out, and he's drinking heavily. The foreclosure is moving forward. They have 30 days left in the house. I'm not saying this to guilt you. I'm saying it so you know. Whatever you decide to do, I support you. But they're drowning, Maya, and they're finally realizing you were the life raft. I'm proud of you for putting yourself first. Don't come back unless you want to, not because they need you. Love, Aunt Linda. I read that email sitting in my new apartment, drinking coffee, watching the sunset through my window. And I felt nothing, no guilt, no sadness, no urge to rush back and fix everything. They were drowning because they built their lives on my back and never even thanked me for holding them up. Now they could figure out how to swim. Or sink. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. I was done being invisible. I was done being forgettable. I was done sacrificing myself for people who wouldn't do the same for me. I took a sip of my coffee, opened my laptop, and started planning my next move. Because this wasn't just about leaving. This was about rebuilding. And I was just getting started. 2 months into my new life, something unexpected happened. I started to thrive. Not just survive, not just get by, actually thrive. My job at the new accounting firm turned out to be perfect for me. My boss, a woman named Caroline in her 50s, was sharp, kind, and saw potential in me I didn't know I had. You're too good at this to be doing basic bookkeeping, she told me one day. Have you ever thought about getting your CPA license? I hadn't. I'd always assumed I wasn't smart enough, wasn't ambitious enough, wasn't enough. But Caroline pushed me. She offered to pay for half my exam fees if I studied for the CPA. She gave me time off to take classes. She mentored me. For the first time in my life, someone invested in me. I threw myself into studying. Every evening after work, every weekend, I studied. It was hard, really hard. But I was doing it for me, not for anyone else, for me. And that made all the difference. Meanwhile, I started building a social life. Small at first. I joined a book club at the local library, met some people my age, started getting coffee with a woman named Tara who worked at a bakery down the street. I went to community events, farmers markets, art shows, Things I never had time for back home because I was too busy holding everyone else's life together. I even started dating. Nothing serious, just casual coffee dates here and there. It was terrifying at first. I hadn't dated much before, but it was also exciting. Freeing. I was discovering who Maya was outside of being someone's daughter or someone's sister. And I liked her. 3 months in, I passed my first CPA exam, then the second, then the third. Caroline threw me a little celebration at the office. My coworkers, people who barely knew me but genuinely liked me, brought cake and cheered. I almost cried, not from sadness, from gratitude. This was what it felt like to be seen, to be valued, to matter. During this time, I kept Aunt Linda unblocked. She was the only connection to my old life, and I trusted her. She sent me updates every few weeks. The updates were grim. The house got foreclosed. My mother moved in with Aunt Linda. She was depressed, barely functioning, sleeping most of the day. Ethan lost the store. It closed down completely. He was drowning in debt, his girlfriend left him, and he moved back in with Aunt Linda too. So now my mother and brother were both living with Aunt Linda in her tiny 2-bedroom house. Both broken, both lost. Aunt Linda said Ethan refused to talk about me, refused to admit he'd done anything wrong. He just sat in his room, bitter and angry, blaming the world. My mother, on the other hand, talked about me constantly. She told Aunt Linda stories about when I was little, how helpful I was, how sweet, how much I cared. She keeps saying she didn't realize, Aunt Linda wrote. She didn't realize how much you did, how much you sacrificed, how much you mattered. She wants to talk to you, Maya. She's not asking you to come back. She just wants to apologize. I sat with that for a long time. Part of me wanted to hear it, wanted the apology, wanted the acknowledgement. But another part of me knew that hearing it wouldn't change anything. An apology doesn't undo years of being overlooked. It doesn't erase the pain of being called forgettable by your own brother. I decided to wait, to focus on myself, to keep building. 4 months in, I passed my final CPA exam. I was officially a certified public accountant. Caroline promoted me immediately. Better title, better pay, better opportunities. I moved out of my tiny studio and into a 1-bedroom apartment with an actual kitchen and a real bedroom. I bought new furniture, decorated, made it a home. I looked around at my life and barely recognized it. 6 months ago, I was invisible, forgettable, existing in the shadow of my brother and the weight of my family's dysfunction. Now I had a career, friends, a life I'd built with my own hands. And the best part, nobody here knew the old Maya. Nobody knew the girl who cooked and cleaned and sacrificed and faded into the background. They only knew this version, the strong one, the confident one, the one who showed up for herself. I started thinking about my family differently. Not with anger anymore, not even with sadness. Just with clarity. They didn't destroy me. They revealed to me what I was capable of when I stopped letting them define my worth. Ethan's words, "If you left this world, no one would care," had been meant to hurt me. Instead, they freed me. Because he was wrong. People did care, just not the people I thought mattered most. My coworkers cared, my new friends cared, Caroline cared, Tara cared. I mattered to people who actually saw me. And that was enough. One evening, I sat down and wrote a letter, not to send, just to process. Dear Ethan, you said if I left, no one would care. You were right about one thing, nobody back home noticed me until I was gone. But you were wrong about the important part. I do matter, just not to you. I matter to people who value effort, loyalty, kindness. I matter to people who see me. You never saw me. You saw a convenience, a background character in your story. But I'm the main character in mine now. And my story is just beginning. You can keep your bitterness, your blame, your excuses. I'm building something you never could, a life I'm actually proud of. Goodbye, Ethan. Maya. I folded the letter, put it in a drawer, and closed it. I didn't need to send it. Writing it was enough. I was done giving him power over my emotions. But my story wasn't over yet. Because revenge isn't just about leaving. It's about showing them what they lost. And I was about to show them in a way they'd never forget. 8 months after I left, I got a call from Aunt Linda. "Maya, I need to tell you something. Your mother is in the hospital." My heart dropped. What happened? She collapsed. Stress, exhaustion, depression. The doctors say she'll be okay, but she's weak. She's asking for you. I closed my eyes. This was the moment I knew would come eventually. "Is Ethan with her?" "He was, but he left. Said he couldn't handle it. He's not doing well, Maya. He's drinking a lot, barely functioning. I don't think he's even visited her since the first day." Of course he hadn't. I took a deep breath. "I'll come, but not for him, for her." "I understand." 2 days later, I drove back to my hometown for the first time in 8 months. It felt surreal. The roads were the same, the buildings were the same, but I was different. I wore clothes I'd bought myself, drove a car I'd upgraded, carried myself with a confidence I didn't have before. I wasn't the invisible girl anymore. I went straight to the hospital. Aunt Linda met me in the lobby and hugged me tight. "You look amazing," she whispered. "I feel amazing." She led me to my mother's room. I hesitated outside the door. "Take your time," Aunt Linda said. "I'll be right here." I pushed open the door. My mother was lying in the hospital bed, looking smaller and frailer than I remembered. Her hair had more gray. Her face had more lines. She looked up when I walked in, and her eyes filled with tears. "Maya." I walked to her bedside, pulled up a chair, and sat down. "Hi, Mom." She reached for my hand. I let her take it. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." I didn't say anything, just waited. "I didn't see you," she continued, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't see how much you did, how much you gave, how much you mattered." I was so focused on Ethan, on his problems, on fixing everything for him, that I forgot to see you. Her words were the ones I'd needed to hear months ago, but now, sitting here, they felt different. Not triumphant, not satisfying, just sad. "I know," I said quietly. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to come back. I just need you to know that I see it now. I see what I lost. I see what I took for granted." I squeezed her hand gently. "Mom, I'm not angry anymore. I was for a long time, but I'm not now." "How?" she asked. "How can you not be angry?" "Because being angry kept me stuck. Leaving freed me. I'm happy now, really happy. I have a life I built for myself, a career, friends, a future." She smiled through her tears. "I'm so proud of you." Those words, I'd waited my whole life to hear them, and now that I had, they didn't fix anything. But they did matter. "Thank you," I said. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she asked the question I knew was coming. "Will you come back?" I shook my head. "No, I can't. This isn't my home anymore." She nodded, understanding. "What about Ethan?" I felt my jaw tighten. "What about him?" "He's lost, Maya. He's broken. He won't admit it, but he needs help. He needs to help himself. He's your brother. He's the person who told me nobody would care if I disappeared. He destroyed this family with his selfishness and his ego. I don't owe him anything, Mom." She looked down. "I know, I hoped. You hoped I'd come back and fix everything like I always did. But I'm not doing that anymore. I'm done being the one who sacrifices. I'm done being invisible." "You were never invisible to me." I gave her a sad smile. "Yes, I was, but that's okay, because I'm not invisible to myself anymore." We talked for a little while.